This video is not brought to you with the help of Vistaprint, who could be a sponsor of videos like these. We just use a PowerPoint theme that looks suspiciously like Vistaprint branding. Thank you, Vistaprint. Now on to the video. I'm Dale Halliday, and welcome to Pembroke-Ripley Polytechnic Institute. Let's get into it. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this. It really does help me afford more graphing calculators and Pilot G2 ballpoint pens, which, by the way, are very expensive. I mean, at the campus bookstore, they're like almost $3. I mean, I get that they have the PRPI logo on them, but they're almost $3 per pen. And now keep in mind that a Pilot G2 bleeds through ink faster than a fountain pen. So you have to keep buying new pens because, of course, the PRPI bookstore doesn't sell cartridges. It just sells pens. So you have to get a new pen, which is like the housing and the cartridge and all of that, and the spring, that stupid spring that you always lose, and then your pen, like, extend it and retract it nice anymore, and you have to like keep your thumb on the back of it so that it doesn't, like, the cartridge doesn't go back into it while you're trying to write. And this is like all low budget, so I had to use a mix of photos. Like, there's AI stuff, there's stuff I got off the internet, there's stuff that I took myself. Most of the AI stuff is just stuff I don't feel like dragging into Photoshop because it's an entirely, like, it's such a highly detailed and specific scenario. It's like when Roger first started using AI stuff, and he was like, oh yeah, I made a photo, and I was like, well, what is it of? He's like, Godzilla eating, I don't know, it was like Philly cheesesteak on Coney Island or something. Why do we need PRPI 101? I'm derailing the whole thing. I'm not going by the curriculum. I'm just going to lecture about anything that interests me, and today that's architecture. We're going to talk about malls, okay? So we've got the early 2000s, we've got Frutiger Arrow, bubbles, greens, a lot of blues, teal. Malls also, they have the culmination of 1980s architecture. They're in the early 2000s, and it's like the last hurrah of the malls, of like everybody goes to the mall, they get like iPhones and Blackberries and all that kind of stuff. I love that. Yeah, my preferred mall design is a 2-floor structure with open walkways, ample use of glass, definitely, crisp whites, a mix of like Frutiger Arrow sort of colors, lots of natural light, angled glass, all framed in, a lot of trusses, a lot of like really gorgeous glasswork and just really cool angles, very geometric, very 80s. And that all culminates in the fact that it's like, okay, if you have this shell that's the 1980s mall, right? And then you've had some updates throughout the years, and then you've also had like the marketing and the actual storefront design changes from the 80s into the 2000s, just arena of commerce and socialization. And then at night, sometimes you can see the stars, like if it's not too light polluted, but it's like jet black over the windows, and then it really highlights like the warmth and the tones of like the warm tone lighting, the kiosks, the storefronts, and like the colorful signs and all that. Escalators, glassed in elevators, that was a big thing that I loved. Malls are like largely a place where, for me at least, if you take intro to psych, like if you can even be bothered as an engineering student, because most people can't, but I mean, you need to take humanities, is just kind of par for the course. The schema, as they say, which is like your mental map, and it's like a web of different concepts and all this other stuff that you come in contact with as a person, definitely is ingrained in me, even though technically I was past the heyday of malls. You know, I love the architecture and all that kind of stuff, and then my mind kind of fills in the rest with like, oh, this was what was going on in in the era. But yeah, this like schema for me would include iPods, any MP3 player really, flip phones, slide phones, Sears, which I actually went to before it went out, JCPenney, Nintendo Wii, Nintendo 3DS, even the DS. I wasn't really around when the DS came out, but the 3DS, I remember everybody was like all over that. And it was like the 3DS, and it was either you had a Wii or you had a 3DS. Infiniti G35, Nissan 350Z, like any sort of like convertible from that era, really. Anything that had like the very like swoopy lines or whatever. Duran Duran, Radio Shack, Atriums, Glasswork, Green Day, All Time Low, like any of those like pop punk 2000s, 2010s bands. It's very warm tone. It's very like almost vintagey feeling, but it's also very art deco. Like Open Air Pizza, that was part of my schema there. Like Duran Duran was playing over the radios, like VS, all that kind of stuff. And one of the primary reasons I didn't decide to become an architect, even though that like everybody that knows me is like, oh, you should go into architecture. You like buildings, right? Because nobody's making shopping malls anymore. It's like, well, the whole reason I would potentially get into it, the only large building that I actually had the time to spare and the patience to endure through months and months of Minecraft building in my free time were malls. So anyway, so the first character, my best friend and my roommate, Roger Edelman, calls himself the CEO of Redbox. He got one, he put it in our dorm room, and it hums like a death ray set to high. His brother, Alexander Edelman, lives next door to us. This huge Jurassic Park buff, kind of like a 50-50 chance that he either becomes the next Spielberg. Paleontology major, the only one on campus. Mustang Huang, he lives in a different dorm than all of us, and it's kind of far away. It's like the fancy dorm. Very wise. The wisest person here that isn't faculty. He borrowed my 1996 Kona AA. I usually say it in like the dank pods, like, So then we have Jenna Valentine. Now, Jenna Valentine, freshman year, apparently in Chemistry 1, she created this chemical called vigilamine. It's like caffeine to the nth power. She drives everywhere just to get some driving in and like exercise. It's like an exercise, like a military exercise. So then there's Roman Anders Foley. He wants people to call him RAF, but nobody ever does. He's a music major on a polytechnic campus. Plays the cello. He plays the 5-string bass. His bass is called Charlotte Braun. That's the name he came up with for it. And he's one of the only like athletic people on our campus. The only known engineering student in history to have survived entirely on saltine crackers, Cal Spinnaker. He's known typically to wear, like, you know that like Walmart cheap dry fit like activewear stuff, like the basketball shorts and all, and the t-shirts. Well, he's known to normally wear that kind of stuff, and he dresses kind of like you'd expect like a middle school like kid to dress, except for when he comes back on winter break, which is when he wears like, he breaks out the pea coat and he's got the pullover sweater and the scarf, you know, the cool fancy hats. Like this guy, he comes back from winter break and for like a week, he's like this. This girl right here, Victoria Schechter, we really don't have to focus on her because everything's already like in her resume, like 5 to 6 pages long of stuff she's done just in high school alone. I will say, like, if you talk to the walls of your dorm, they will be more interesting to hold a conversation with, despite the fact that she has all of this incredible stuff. Liam Gorski. Now, he's the underappreciated electro-mandolinist and frontman of, now let me break out my Latin, it's been a while, Nix Vigilace. It's basically a band that's, it's the literal Latin translation is Nix is snow, and then Vigilace would be like guard. So it's Snow Patrol. So yeah, that's the whole thing. They're a Snow Patrol cover band. They only cover songs off 100 Million Suns, or they translate all the lyrics to Latin and they just go with it. And they got electric mandolin in there. Now, Rumi literally has been to Sweden, like flown there by IKEA themselves. He's a huge IKEA fanboy, like basically lives there. So a lot of their like designers and stuff actually ended up getting lost in this prototype store. And he was the guy that they chose to conduct a search and rescue operation. Yeah, and then as far as students go, the last major person I have to talk about is Leaper. Nobody knows his real name, which is actually a benefit because it means that he's always stayed off of the campus security blotter. He's already got his senior senior capstone project mapped out. He's going to try to hit Mach 1 on a longboard. But before he does that, he's got to do a lot of like intense physical training like fighter pilots and all them do. But yeah, that's his goal. And I mean, for a guy that once like literally longboarded through a hurricane and through floodwaters of a hurricane and winds of a hurricane, people think that he's got like some sort of like longboard ring going on campus. It's all manual boards. It's all drop through decks. There's no electrics. There's no like penny boards. There's no this or that. It's all just drop through longboards. Now we have the faculty. Dr. Dominic Kent, you're pretty familiar with him. He's like a jack of all trades around campus. He does everything. He looks like the New Order frontman. Yeah, Bernard Sumner's. At the same time, I always thought Bernard Sumner's looked kind of like the current governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, I believe. And apparently they were going to make him the university president. He declined. And now our current university president will zip around on golf carts like maybe once a semester. He'll just always be like taking flights on his private jet off of the like private campus airstrip. So nobody really sees the guy. My rush with fame, I was actually like starstruck the time when it happened. And I get out of the bathroom and I push the door open and there's this guy standing right there in like a suit and like not a jacket or anything, but like, you know, a dress shirt and dress pants and all that kind of stuff. And he's got like these like distinguished looking glasses and stuff. And he's all like, oh, like, and it's kind of this awkward thing of like, he's like walking in the door and I'm walking out the door. But I, you know, move myself out of the way and kind of press myself up against the wall and I hold the door open for him. He's like, oh, thank you very much. Good on you. You have like really great manners. It's like, it's nice to see you have such nice manners and all this other stuff. And come to find out that he was like actually the university president. So there was my brush with fame. Dr. Suzanne Stugley. So, yes, she was a local high school student in Massachusetts, kind of grew up in the area, and she got her certificate in law enforcement in high school, so kind of like a dual enrollment thing. But she ended up really falling in love with math in senior year. Long story short, she's got degrees in math and theoretical physics and all this other kind of stuff. And she's also a professor of tactical driving, the only one, and leads a section of our campus police. Although, like, see, this is where it becomes weird, like the PRPI thing happens, because while we've got Dr. Kent, who's doing like 1,000,001 different classes, we've got two professors who both of them are amazing. Like, so Dr. Akira Madia, both of them kind of tag team with the mathematics and the physics, right? But it was never explained to me why, like, one of these professors, they're both brilliant, why they couldn't just teach like statics or thermo or something. So, so they kind of overlap. But yeah, Dr. Madia, well kempt, he's always polished. He's like, he has a couple slight quirks that I can only describe them, and sorry, like this, I'm not trying to be offensive towards him, like I really respect him as a professor, but I can only describe them as like bird-like. Majestic, yeah, because he's like tallish and he's like lean, he looks very much like a crane, like sandhill cranes, like any one of them, like just where they kind of like look a little bit, I don't know, they're birds that look human-like. That's the best way I can describe him. But he frequently will like stop in front of the whiteboard and point his feet at like 45 degrees from each other, so they kind of like form like this V shape. And he'll just kind of stand there like that with his heels together. And then he'll also have this signature colic. I have them too, but it's like mine will always like change shape, and they're always like kind of like very like, I don't like them. I mean, I have to like put tons of product in my hair to just like get rid of these things. His is always perfect, always the same every single day. And it's obviously clear that this guy like takes care of himself. Like he always like dresses in different clothes every day. And you know, it's very obvious that it's not like some people on our campus that don't shower, and you can tell. It's like he showers and he takes care of himself, but it's like his colic is the same every day. But so that's pretty interesting. And it kind of looks like plumage or like a tuft. So that's where the bird reference comes in. Anyway, he talks very little about his everyday life. Some rumors have spread that he has like a side business that's like a franchise. Anyway, then we have me, and I'm just going to very briefly going over me because I have like 2 sentences like that I've kind of memorized in my head about what I'm going to say about myself. I'm Dale Halliday. I'm an engineering major. I'm super heavily focused on aerospace, but not rockets, you know, planes. I collect guitars, graphing calculators, any sort of handheld illumination, tactical flashlights, flashlights that double as night lights, mag lights especially. And I've got a Heart Soul prop as decor. And yeah, the next video or lecture or whatever you want to call it is going to be on all of the kind of personal lore and legends and items and things that like have some sort of lore and history for me. But that's going to be another lecture, and probably I'm going to go over dorms too. So until then, I don't know what I'm going to say. Most people say blue side up in the aviation community, and I already know there's like people on YouTube that say that, so I'm not going to say that. Until then,